Welcome to Trump Teachings, Face Hunter. This deck is very notorious on ladder, and I'd say it's one of the easier decks to play. Very simple game plan. You play your cards, and then you generally hit the face with them. Probably the one tricky thing is, sometimes you have to not go for the face, and it's actually correct. Notably in the early game, you're going to want to clear out the threatening cards. Usually the best things to clear with would be your weapons, because your health doesn't really matter that much. So you use the weapons to clear the opponent's minions, and then you hit them in the face. Always consider that playing minions tends to be better if you don't need to do something immediately, because they need a turn to get active. So when you can get away with not playing a minion with charge, you should generally do so before playing the minions with charge, so that they can get activated earlier. There is a little bit of finesse near the end game. Sometimes, well, often, it's going to come down to your one turn from dead, and they're almost dead. You need to walk the line of trading just enough, or organizing the exchanges, or what to play exactly, so that you can kill them almost exactly one turn before they kill you. And that's the art. Also, try not to play Arcane Golem that early. Unless you have no other choice, then just go ahead and play it, because that speeds them up. Face Hunter really likes matching up against Warlock of all varieties, because their hero ability hits themselves in the face. Silly Warlocks. Alright, I'm going to toss everything. In this deck, it's really good to start off with a 1-drop, even if it is Abusive Sergeant. If you have the coin, you want to start off with 2-drop into coin 2-drop. All of these cards are too slow. Note that the highest mana card in this deck is Wolf Rider or Arcane Golem. It tops off at 3. Some people run Leroy Jenkins in this deck, and that's a valid choice. I'm going to coin out the Knife Juggler here because it looks like this is a really good exchange. The opponent is a zoo. You can tell because of the Voidwalker already. Well, most likely a zoo. There's going to be all sorts of comments like, Trump has to teach how to do Face Hunter? Oh, you hit the face. But maybe there's not that much more than that, but there's a little bit. Just a little bit. I am actually going to attack and then play Mad Scientist. There is some consideration to play Mad Scientist first to lessen the chance of egg, but aggression will generally rule out. Actually, I should play Owl on this. Yeah. In the Zoo matchup in particular, you're going to be very happy that you're running 2 Explosive Trap in this deck. Game plan is going to be just like any other game plan. In the very early game, you're actually going to want to trade a little bit if they have a favorable exchange, but in the case of like a 2-1 against a 2-1, absolutely hit the face. No question. In this case, he's actually going to be able to send the 2-1 into the 2-2, which is slightly worse for you than him sending into the 2-1. But the extra damage to the face is more important. This isn't to say that from here on out it's always going to be hitting the face, but with this deck especially, it transitions from clearing the minions into hitting the face pretty early on, usually around turn 3.
From the void I come.
Playing the Wolf Rider before the Arcane Golem is a good idea to make sure not to speed him up. I would have played most cards over Arcane Golem there, although if I had just Unleash the Hounds, Kill Command, and Arcane Golem as my hand, I would have played the Arcane Golem there and then hit the face. With this deck, you often want to reverse count your damage, which is to say, consider how much damage you've got a few turns in advance. That card, not even that one's really worth thinking about. That's far too slow to consider trading into. One thing that I'm going to say, which is really important, when it's getting into the late game, turn 5 for this deck, make sure to look ahead and think about whether or not it's better to use the hero ability, which is a free 2 damage, or to play a card that'll deal damage. Oftentimes it is wrong to play Kill Command over Steady Shot, for example, because Kill Command will only deal 3 damage or 5 damage, but if you wait a turn, then you can add in an extra 2 damage by Steady Shotting this turn and Steady Shotting the next turn. In this case, I am going to weave in, as it's generally called, a hero ability over playing an Abusive Sergeant, which is also going to do 2 damage either way, but the Abusive Sergeant is going to get the damage in either way. It's often worth thinking about, Arcane Golem-wise, what mana point you're pushing them into. Against the Zoo, it doesn't quite matter that much that I pushed him into 7 mana, but against other decks it'll often matter. For example, you don't want to push someone who's at 3 mana into 5 mana if you think that they're going to play Sludge Belcher, but it's often good to push someone from 4 mana to 6 mana with the Arcane Golem, because maybe they were planning to play something on 5, such as a Sludge Belcher. Woof woof. This is a pretty good situation to be in. The only reservation I have on suggesting new players to play this deck is that I don't think it's particularly educational to play this deck, because your choices are so often that face is correct. So I often suggest instead, if you're actually learning the game, to go with something that involves a bit more board control, so that you have to think about the trading more. This is worth talking about also. Suppose you have all of Mad Scientist, Knife Juggler, and Haunted Creeper, which one is the correct one to play? And the answer is it depends. But Mad Scientist is often correct. A really good opening tends to be Haunted Creeper into Knife Juggler, but that involves you knowing that they're going to play something that Haunted Creeper is going to be able to attack into and then beat. Here's an example of actually a trade, because that is actually threatening enough to justify a trade this early in. The Sorcerer's Apprentice is a very key tempo card for the mages. This is going to be one more example of a card that is critical to kill. And nice thing about Knife Juggler and Haunted Creeper is that when the Haunted Creeper explodes, the Knife Juggler will hit and hopefully actually kill off that, and sometimes it doesn't, that's bad luck, but in this case it did, hooray. So now that we're past turn 3, generally it'll take a lot to cause you not to go for face. Here's actually one example which some players may play incorrectly. In this case, you want to play the Knife Juggler and a hero ability because you have 4 mana, and if you play a 3 mana card, then you're missing out on some mana usage. The Knife Juggler is not that much worse than an Animal Companion. So it looks like the next few turns are going to be Animal Companion hero ability, and then probably Animal Companion Arcane Golem. As a note, even though most of the time Arcane Golem should be played last, if you suspect that the opponent is going to play taunt, and you have a hand of kill commands and quick shots, you do want to play out the charging Arcane Golem or Wolf Rider as a priority and get in the damage before they taunt up. It is almost always right to play last the skill commands and the quick shot.
Someday I'll be just like you.
And one more recommendation, summon Huffer. Here I'm gonna play Glaive Zuka first because I don't want it to hit the animal companion no matter which one it is. Try not to summon Leok, though in this case Leok is not too bad. The weapons want to be clearing minions because you lose no attack power on the board unless it's super late game, turn 7, and you just need to push in for that extra damage. Okay, we do know that that is a mirror entity. Good to trigger this off of the leper gnome. So I'm actually really happy to draw a 1-drop there because now I can go 3-1-2. Success! We summoned Huffer. Good job.